Now I'm just sitting here about to edit some videos, one of which is my 5-hour battery running, my 5-hour test, or not even 5-hour test. It was a test. It ended up running that motor for 5 hours, this battery. It was a 1.5 centimetre battery, and I didn't even charge it. But I was just looking at my latest batch of chitin. I've made quite a lot actually. I've videoed it, a little bit of a video on it and some other stuff. But the one thing I really wanted to get in and get done today was the fact that recently I've had one or two Eureka moments, but this time it was a Eureka moment. And I struck gold really, in the form of this. Now I bought this on eBay, and it's a nice hardback book for £2.80. That is just totally unbelievable. And this is gold, because as you can see we've got lignin, pectin, chitin. Now the first bit, lignin, I did try and read some of that, but without being a chemist, I was lost, to be honest. The pectin, I read a bit of that, but getting back to the lignin, wow, I mean some of the stuff in here would make an actual chemist cough, I think. But I mean that bit there, if you wanted to read, if you wanted an easier read, you'd have to go back to the Bible and read the Old Testament or something like that, because this, I tried to read some of it, and my brain was like a lump of lead for about 3 days, so that was that bit. But this is actual gold. I'll just read a couple of bits of it's only a couple, not going to bore you all to death, but get to my Eureka moment with it. So this first bit about chitin, incrustations, is present as a mucopolysaccharide intimately associated with calcareous shell material, adventitious and covalently bound protein, small amounts of fat pigments and trace metals. Hence the first stages of chitin purification involve its separation and isolation from these extraneous materials, usually by successive acid and alkali extractions, which are then called chitin isolates. Now all of this, obviously, we've seen on the RMS video about chitin and how to separate chitin, and having read a lot of this now, yeah, Robert's bang on with his methods. So that's that bit. Get to my Eureka moment with this. Yeah, the other thing is this book mentions chitin, chitosan and chitinase, two main forms of chitin, alpha and beta, and two different classes. Chitin is a naturally occurring fibre forming polymer that functions as the load bearing component of the skeletal materials. Yeah, that speaks for itself. Lots and lots of good reading in this book, even when you look at the actual structures of chitin, and it goes on to mention plant materials as well, and the structures of plant materials. So it's a pretty mixed bag and a cracking read. Now the bit that got me going, shall we say, bit again, physical methods for the determination of chitin structure and conformation, because it says one source of completely acetylated, hope I've got that word right, chitin is that from spines of certain marine diatoms. Hee, there it is. If we got that, but anyway, marine diatoms, and this book then goes on to mention marine diatoms in quite a lot of quantity. For instance, most chitins include those from crustaceans, insects and fungi, which we know. We've seen the mushroom video from RMS, and are in the so-called alpha form. However, a rare second form known as beta chitin has been identified in 4 sources. The spines of polychaete Aphrodite. I'm not going to try and pronounce these words. The pen of the squid, or Loligo, that's an easy one. The tubes of Pogonophora, and the spines of certain marine diatoms. So again, diatoms, it's mentioned in diatoms, and it goes on to mention diatoms quite a bit. So there's my bit of gold in finding that for £2.80, number 1, and number 2, my Eureka moment, because it talks about in this book at length about marine diatoms containing chitin, or chitinous material, or chitinous structure. So absolutely wonderful. The ISBN for this, I don't know if you can see that, is there. Okay, so that's that. Just really wanted to mention that while I'm sitting in my office and about to edit some video, and I keep trying to read, well, not read, but I refer to this thing all the time now. Metals, non-metals and metalloids, the periodic tables. I'm not going to go through everything I'm reading, but that's an interesting read as well. Again, Wikipedia. So yeah, exciting times really. Kind of close this little bit. These diatoms, which I've been using now, and I'm getting results from, obviously, with graphene oxide and graphene impregnated diatoms. But the main thing is, I have not carbonised these yet, as in an autoclave, which I am about to do. I'm about to try it, but I've obviously what I'm doing is just using the actual surface area of this structure. Well, hopefully anyway. I'm not really certain of anything at this stage, but I've got a video now of a battery which ran for 2 hours, or almost 2 hours, which wasn't charged again, and contained chitin from cuttlebone, not charged, 2 hours, and not carbonised. So God only knows what will happen when I actually carbonise some of this stuff, and I can't wait to get down to it. So I'm in the times now, regularly 2-3 hours, not a problem. Sometimes it's the 3-hour one I think was charged. I had to charge it. It's just different batteries, different chemistries, different electrolytes and all the rest of it. So yeah, onwards and upwards, I think. Just before I finish this again, I did a test on a lithium cell with my motor. I was undecided at the time whether to put 1 motor or 2 motors on it, because it was a 3-volt cell, and it did start at 2.98 volts. It was a brand new battery. Now, established technology, we know that, established chemistry, they are wonderful batteries, lithium batteries, we know that. But this thing lasted for quite a while. I've done better with mine, obviously, time-wise. Yeah, no, I might as well just... It ran for 3 hours, or just over, or just under, I can't remember, but it was about the 3-hour mark. But obviously, with an established commercial battery like that, you're going to get a nice curve on the discharge. You're going to get nice bounce back, which it did have, and it was usable power again and all the rest of it. But you know, initially I was amazed that it only ran for that 3-hour period. So don't know, it's a mixed bag really. Don't know on that one yet. Need to sort of run the test again and continue with trying to use that that bounce back again straight after the initial stage of running the battery down. So yeah, that was that. I got that video to show as well. Only highlights, obviously, you know, of the 3 hours. So, and the time marks, the time stamps, obviously. So that's another one. I don't know where I'm going to find the time to do all these videos, but we'll give it a bash.